Hi, welcome back. This is Mr. G. Martinez, and this is your 8th grade science channel. Today, you are going to be learning about a couple of tips and tricks for testing purposes on phases of the moon. Our TICS is 8.7b, where you're supposed to demonstrate and illustrate the sequence of events in the lunar cycle. In particular, today we're going to be discussing how to recognize strategies needed to answer questions about the phases of the moon. They can be very challenging when it comes to testing. So we are going to be supposed to do first is to find our new moon, understand the counterclockwise movement of the moon around the planet, using number system that we are going to be teaching you on how to number the phases of the moon. And of course, you're going to learn how to name the moons. You're going to understand the timing between the moon phases. That is very important. And a lot of the questions are going to be based on that. And to recognize characteristics of waxing and waning moons. So let's get started. First of all, strategy is needed. For example, this is a very typical picture that you're going to see on a test. The first thing you need to do is to find your moons. And well, to find the new moon, and always the new moon is the one that is completely dark, like for example this one. That means that you will have the sun coming from this side. Okay, sunlight is coming from the right. So I'm gonna put a couple of arrows to display it. Okay, understand the counterclockwise motion or movement of the Earth. So we know that the moons move in this direction. All right. We are going to be using the number system or a numbering system. Every time we're going to use a numbering system, I want you to keep in mind that the first moon is always going to be your new moon. So find the new moon first, always, and then from there you can start numbering. So the new moon is number 1. Your waxing crescent will be number 2. First quarter number 3. Waxing give us number 4. The full moon number 5. Waning gibbous will be number 6, third quarter number 7, and waning crescent number 8. So those are always going to be our numbers. Keep those in mind. Remember to pause the video at any time if you need to understand what we are explaining. And you can always replay as many times as you want and realize that all the things that we're explaining here have a meaning and a purpose. Once you number your moons, you're gonna name them. So luckily for you here, we already have everything named, starting with the new moon, your waxing crescents, the first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning crescent, waning gibbous, third quarter, and then waning crescents. The next phase is to write the timing. Now, the timings are different numbers than what you have here, and this is important because this is the number of days that it will take for the phases of the moon to go around or to appear or to be visible from our planet. Like for example, of course the new moon is invisible, but that is considered to be like at the beginning of the cycle. So we can say that this is day number 1. And then about these are going to be approximations. About 3.5 days later, you will have your waxing crescent, and then 7 days later, your first quarter moon. 10.5 days later, you will have your waxing gibbous, and then about 14 days later, you will have your full moon, and from there, you are going to have your waning moons. Starting with this one, that will be about about 17.5 days later. And then on this one will be usually day 21. This will be day 20, I'll say day 25. Oh, my pointer is not working correctly. 25. And then again, even though this is day number 1 because it's the beginning of the cycle, this can also, the new moon also represents the end of the cycle. So make sure we put also this is going to be day 29. So it can be day 29 or day 1, beginning of the cycle and end of the cycle. Okay. Recognize a couple characteristics about waxing moons. So here are some of the characteristics about waxing moons. Notice that the waxing moons all have the lit side of the waxing moons are on the right. Notice how this is on the right side and all this area is completely dark. So this is the white side or the lit side of waxing moons. They all have it on the right side. Okay. Notice this, half of the moon lit, and of course it's on the right side. And this is the first quarter moon. On the waxing gibbous, we have almost a full moon, and of course the side that is lit is on the right side once again. So just for a mnemonic phrase that we use sometimes, we can say that these are waxing, and we say waxing right. So we say the whole thing together, waxing right, and that means that the right side of the moon is lit. So this is how we know they are waxing moons, because the lit side is on the right. Now, characteristics about waning moons, which are these 3 moons over here on the bottom. Okay, waning moons have the left side that is lit. Notice this side over here, the left, and this is the waning gibbous. The third quarter moon also has the left side or half of the moon on the left that is lit, and then your waning crescent, which also has this side, which is the left side, lit. Okay, so just for mnemonic phrase that we use on this ones, we said waning left. Oh my goodness, this thing is not letting me work. I'm gonna try it over here. You say waning left, and of course we are referring to the left side of the moon that is being lit. If at any time, this is like the most important part of the video, so you can go back and take a look at this section again so you can understand every single component that has been explained. More strategies. Notice that now the sun is on the left side, opposite to the other ones. So once again, we need to get started with our strategies, which is to find the new moon. And our new moon is right here, is gonna be in between, is the one that is dark, is the one that is invisible. We don't see it, right? Because half of the moon that is lit is facing the sun. So the dark side of the moon is facing us, so that's why it's completely dark. All right, this is invisible. I'm gonna erase that because I don't want you guys to get confused with it. Okay, so now let's keep on going. All right, find the new moon. We have a new moon right there. Understand the counterclockwise motion. All right, we have explained that before, where you're supposed to have counterclockwise motion going as soon as this thing wants to work this way, right? There you go, counterclockwise motion. Okay, we supposed to also use the number system. So we remember the new moon is always going to be your number 1, and waxing crescent number 2, number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here we go again. 7, 8, and those are your numbering system, we're supposed to find the timing between moon phases. And that is, well, that's a little challenging because this is when you write down the amount of days that it takes between phases of the moon. Okay, well, so this one can remember, it can be day one, it can be day one, but it can also be day 29. All right, so this is day one, and over here, this will be 3.5 days after that. You will have your waxing crescent. 7 days after that, you will have your first quarter, and 10.5 days after that, you will have your waxing gibbous. I'm gonna have to start writing on this side. 14. Well, let me erase that first because it's gonna get in the way. And I don't need anybody getting confused with this. All right, so here we go. Where is it? Right here. Okay, let's go back to the writing. So this is 10.5 days later when we have a waxing gibbous. 14 days later you will have the full moon, and we're always referring to the new moon. Okay, 14 days later after the new moon you will have the full moon. Okay, that will be about 17.5 days later you'll have your waning gibbous, and about 21 days later you will have your last quarter moon. A couple days more and you will have I'll say, what is it, 24.5. You'll have your waning crescent, and then once again, about 28, 29 days later, you will have the new moon again. Waxing moons and waning moons, once again, if you notice, now the waxing moons are on the bottom, they're underneath, they're not on the top, but that's because the sun is on this side. All right, it's on the left side. So now we have the waxing. If you follow the counterclockwise motion, you will see that your numbering system is going to go this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So therefore your waxing moons are going to be on the bottom and your waning moons on the top. Waxings, remember, you have the left side of the moons are on the right. Here you go, you see that they're on the right side. And then the waning moons are on the left side, and those were already explained on the previous slide, so you can go back and look at them. Okay, so today we have learned how to recognize the new moon. We have also learned to understand the counterclockwise movement of the moon around the planet. Using a numbering system, we can identify moon phases, and of course naming your moons, understand the timing between the moons, which most of the questions are going to be around this part. And then we have identified a couple things about waxing moons and waning moons. So that is it. This is the end. So this is Mr. G. Martinez with your 8th grade science channel. If you want to subscribe, of course, we can throw in a couple of questions, a couple of points on your test. Okay, so consider that. See you later.